What's going on, friends? It is seldom talked about, but it is one of the most terrifying experiences that you can have on a motorcycle. So today, we're going to take a look at the Harley Wobble and what you can do to prevent it, and a little bit about what you can do if it happens to happen to you. So the Harley Wobble is a very controversial issue. Harley denies it, but lawyers love to go after it. Now the truth is, the Harley Wobble is nothing more than a high-speed wobble. But Harley-Davidsons, supposedly, depends on whether you believe this or not, have an added little problem that kind of contributes to it. And what they say that is it's attributed to Harley-Davidson's rubber mounting engine system in the touring bikes, the Dynas, and even the Sportsters. Softails, you don't have to worry about this since your engine's rigid mounted with counterbalancers. So before we get too far into the video today, please don't forget to drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So theoretically, the rubber mounted engine design, where the rear swing arm has a rubber mount which is attached to the transmission, which the transmission is attached to the engine, what can happen under the right conditions is that up and down motion of the swing arm can upset the chassis of the motorcycle, and the rear wheel steering in a different direction basically than the front wheel from the flex in it, and then you end up getting this really hard bar shake, or if you're coming out of a corner, it starts trying to get that rear steer feeling on you, and the bar starts shaking really hard, and it doesn't stop basically until you crash. Now, this was really an issue on pre-2008 model touring bikes mainly, and it did happen on some Dynas. I really haven't heard about too much of it happening on Sportsters. But going forward after 2008, it seems like whatever the problem was that didn't exist, they got it worked out. Now, one video out there that really seemed to kind of make this famous was from the CHP, the California Highway Patrol. They were doing a performance test on some electroglides out on basically a road course or a road race course. And you got to think, though, they're running these motorcycles pretty hard. I mean, motor jocks are trained very well and they know how to ride. Trust me, they could do things that I can only imagine and dream that I could do with a motorcycle. But so they're on this road course and they're running these electroglides in there. And I mean, they're riding them hard and they're diving into the corners. And you can see these things are walking all over the place. They're shaking, they're banging around. I mean, this thing's trying to get into a tank slapper and spit these guys off. Now, under normal circumstances out on the road, you're not going to be riding your bike that hard, and that's not going to really be an issue. Like I said, under normal everyday conditions, this isn't going to be an issue for you. But to avoid this situation, there are some things that you can do yourself at home to make sure that you don't get that rear wheel walk, you don't experience that nasty Harley wobble. And it's just very basic items, which really boils down to maintenance. And if you're still having that issue, which it can happen if you have a touring model, you have it loaded down, and a lot of you guys that ride touring models, you may have experienced this, but there are actually stabilizer kits out there that'll help basically firm up your rubber mounted engine and keep it from walking around and causing these issues that we're talking about here. Now, some of the other issues that can cause a high-speed wobble, or basically even the Harley wobble in general, number one, you want to keep good tires on your motorcycle. Keeping good tires will help prevent this, and even more basic than that, just making sure you have the correct tire pressure. Another thing you'll want to do is check your steering stem bearings. Make sure that they are adjusted properly. And while you're checking your steering stem bearings, when you've got that front wheel in the air, or even the bike in the air, even better, go ahead and grab a hold of your wheels, work them back and forth, check for loose wheel bearings. Every time you change your tires, check those wheel bearings. Make sure those are in good condition. Worn out wheel bearings will cause this. Probably one of the easiest things you can do is go through, visually inspect your rubber motor mounts. Put a wrench on them. Make sure they are to the proper torque. It is even in the service manual to make sure you check the engine mounting bolts on these things. It is critical that you do that, but even if they're tight, if the rubber's worn out, you're going to experience this little Harley wobble. And for you guys with spoke wheels, you probably already know this, Spoke wheels are a lot more maintenance than the cast wheels. Now, the spoke wheels, you want to make sure all your spokes are properly tightened, because a spoke rim, if you get the spokes loose on it, that rim will flex and it will work back and forth, and it will cause the wobble that we're talking about here. So with all that said, I don't personally feel like Harley's rubber mounting system is completely to blame on this. You hear the stories out there of people having the wobble and this and that, but I'd kind of like to go over the bike myself. If everything is tight and everything looks good, then yeah, I would be more inclined to say, yeah, this is related to the rubber mounting system. Now, if you've gone over all of that on your motorcycle and you're still having issues, like I said, basically if you have a heavy touring motorcycle and you ride with it loaded down, or say you have a Dyna and you ride your Dyna really hard in the curves and in the twisties, and you're still getting that rear steer feeling, because I know I get it on my Sportsters when I push them really hard into the corners. I can feel that bike start to flex and walk a little bit on me. So I get it. It does happen to the Sportsters too. Now, one of the best things you can do if you're having that walk and wobble, weeble, whatever you want to call it, is to add a stabilizer link. What a stabilizer link is going to do is it's going to firm up your chassis. This is going to tie the swing arm and the engine together better, and this is going to take out that flex from the swing arm. Now, some of the best stabilizer links out there that I've found are from TrueTrack. I'm not sponsored by TrueTrack, but I really do like their products. I've used them before on my Dynas. Now with TrueTrack, it doesn't matter what bike you ride. Now if you have a Sportster, you're kind of SOL there. But if you have any Harley-Davidson motorcycle other than a Sportster, from 1980 to the present, they've got a stabilizer link for you. So if you have a Dyna, a touring model, even an FXR, they make a stabilizer link for it. Now even you guys with the V-Rods, TrueTrack didn't forget about you. TrueTrack actually makes a stabilizer link for the V-Rod. My dad owns a V-Rod, and I've gone out and pushed it a little bit, and you can feel it coming into the corners. You can feel it kind of shimmy and walk a little bit. Now, TrueTrack stabilizers aren't exactly cheap, but you can't really put a price on your safety and better handling on your motorcycle. Now, they do run between about $200 to $400. Just depends on what model, what year of motorcycle you're looking at. Now, after you install a TrueTrack stabilizer, this is going to keep your rear wheel from trying to check out and go in an opposite direction than your front wheel. Guys, I hope none of you ever experienced a Harley wobble or a high-speed wobble. But as motorcyclists, and in the longer you ride, eventually at some point you're going to experience it. But the number one thing you got to do is don't panic. Absolutely don't panic. Don't hit the brakes. The only thing you can do is really hold on for dear life and just slowly roll out of the throttle a little bit. And what's always worked for me is kind of getting in the middle of the seat wherever I can and just pushing with everything I've got on those front bars as you're slowly rolling out of the throttle. But like I say, don't panic, don't bail off the bike, and don't crash it. Try to save it till the very end, because you can't win if you crash. So guys, that's all I have for you this week. Please don't forget, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I hope you guys stay safe on the street, dodge those cars, and I will catch you guys in next week's video. Thanks for watching.